Hello and welcome to episode 15 of the Sheep and Cheerful podcast, a podcast all about my crafty life and my endeavours to be as crafty and as cheerful as possible. Not always possible, but for the most part. This is a place where we look on the bright side of life, where we focus on positive things and really take pleasure and joy in all of our makings and our craftings that we do. My name is Nikki. I will be your hostess with the mostess, as I like to say today. And you can find me on social media, really Instagram and on Ravelry as Clara Peggotty. And there's a Ravelry group, of course, associated with the podcast, the Sheep and Cheerful podcast group. And it's fabulous. I am totally biased, of course, but it is fabulous. We've got some lovely chatter going on there, some great people and some great projects. I will talk more a little bit about those later, and the various make-alongs we've got going on there. So that's that, I think. It's a beautiful, bright, sunny day down here on the south coast of the United Kingdom. And on cue, Henry has just entered the room. I live down here, as I've said, with my family and our two English Springer Spaniels who frequently make unwanted visits onto the podcast. He's now around by my feet. Honey's over under the other table. I did shut them both out, but then, of course, the scratching on the door happened. So anyway, that's where we're at. Goodness. Now, let's review just briefly. I didn't podcast last week. As I put on the Instagram post, I felt really bad about not podcasting, actually. But Wednesday last week, which is when I record, really kicked my butt. In fact, the whole week did. I'll not tell a lie here. Life has been a little bit of a struggle lately. I think for many of us, not just for me. And last week I just couldn't get it all together to podcast. So this week I was absolutely sure that it was going to be done. So it's quite late in the afternoon though, because there's been a lot of other stuff going on. But I thought now, and in fact, oh no, I have closed the door. Gosh, everybody can hear me. Obviously Henry opened it of his own volition to come in, because he does that. Excuse me a sec. Would you lay down, please? Henry, settle down. Lay down. No, he's going to walk around a bit more. I've given him a haircut. Well, an ear haircut. And his ears look, oh my goodness, so cute. He looks like such a puppy again. Oh, there he goes. He's settled down. He's not happy about the haircut, probably. Right, yes, so last week it's been a bit tough, but there is a bit of a silver lining there, because I'm actually going away for a few days tomorrow lunchtime. So Thursday lunchtime I'm going away just for a few days, going away to a holiday park not too far from here, but Jonah and I are going. Gary is unable to go, obviously, because he is still shielding and quite poorly, and Hannah has to stay and look after Gilbert, of course. So Joe and I and Joe's girlfriend are just going to pop down to stay in a static caravan in a beautiful part of the UK for 3 nights we're going for. I am more than likely going to go off-grid, so I am not going to be using my phone or going on Instagram or looking at any social media. I am going to switch it off. Well, I say that I can't switch it off because I use it as a camera. And I did think about digging out one of our older cameras, but unfortunately there's only one and I don't know where the cables are for it now. Anyway, yeah, so I'll be using it for photographs, but I'm going to endeavour to completely go off grid and just give myself a bit of headspace, a bit of time with my thoughts. I will obviously be taking some crafting with me. I want to do some Bible journaling and, yeah, just really enjoy some time away from big responsibilities just for a few days. So I think that's going to be really lovely. Weather's apparently going to be really pretty good. So yeah, that was that. I must just tell you about something that happened was it yesterday, day before? Over the weekend we'd had a sort of a rattling in the house and we couldn't track it down. Anyway, to cut a long story short, I came down Monday morning and Gary, who was up and working, said to me, "You've got to phone a chimney sweep, we've got a bird stuck in the chimney and you've got to phone and get him out." 'Cause Gary hates things like that. He gets really upset about that, about any kind of animal in strife. And he said it must be stuck in the flue and it can't get out because we've got a wood burning stove. So there's like, you know, the metal bit there and then the flue and then the log burner. Anyway, I was like, barely awake at this point, obviously. And he said, "Come on, I'll show you. So he took me into the lounge. And the bird had actually got out of the flue and was inside the stove. So we've got the glass front of the stove and, you know, the handle where you open it. And tucked at the very back, you could barely see it because it was very dark and covered in soot, was a bird, a small bird. I think it was probably a baby. Or at least an adolescent. Turns out it was a starling. And so I just said to Gary, right, I need to get that out and just release it, provided it's not injured. So that is exactly what I did. I don't feel concerned at all. I've handled birds in the past. And so we opened the log burner and I got him out and he gave me a very angry squawk to start with, but then sat very, very calmly in my hands. And I took him out and released him out the front and he flew away. He was a happy chappy. Or it could have been a she, who knows. Covered in soot. My hands were covered in soot. But yeah, that was really great. So we didn't have to get the chimney sweep round. Although Gary has since booked him anyway to make sure there's no kind of other materials or nesting up there. But that was a little bit of an adventure. Gotta love wildlife. I do love wildlife. Love all sorts of animals, really. So yeah, that was that. Crikey, I feel so out of practice having not done this for, you know, 2 weeks. 2 weeks. So I am going to have a quick sip. We do talk about all sorts of crafting on this podcast for those of you who are new. So I'm going to start off with some sewing. The obvious thing in the room. I have finished my vintage shirt dress. So I thought I would bring, actually I call my dress model Agatha. I was watching Ellie, Craft House Magic podcast, and her mannequin is called Barbara. Well, this one's called Agatha. And here is, in all her glory, that's it, my vintage shirt dress. I think you can see that all right, can't you? I showed you last time, I showed you the top. I hadn't put the collar on. I believe this is called a Revere collar. I hadn't put that on and I think she didn't have a skirt. She might have had a skirt. But anyway, it's finished and I'm so, so pleased. I love this fabric. I wonder if you can see. This is Alice in Wonderland fabric. If you can't, zoom back to last time's podcast and I did a close-up of that. I made bias binding for the sleeves, to edge the sleeves. I chose to do the sleeveless pattern, the sleeveless version. Oh, and I should say this is a pattern by Sew Over It from London. This is one of their range of patterns. I obviously did this version here, the sleeveless version of the vintage shirt dress. It's a really great pattern, very easy to follow. I haven't made anything like this. Actually, it's the first time I've put proper buttons on and put buttonholes on. That was Henry pushing the model. He's laying down. Yeah, so we've got the collar here, the faced collar. There's 2 pleats, one either side in the front bodice and one either side in the back, so it shapes it in at the waist, which is really great. And yeah, I don't think... Oh, there we go, we can turn around. And you can see it sits nicely. So again, you've got pleats in the top and the bottom parts there. And then she was meant to have 8 buttons. I dug into my button box. I didn't want to bother buying any. I wanted to find some old ones and reuse them. I was only able to find 7 that were a good match. They're all the same, but They're sort of slightly pearlescent with different tints of colour. So sort of slightly grey, slightly purple, that's white or ivory, slightly grey again, white and white, but it looks really nice, it really works. I wore this out and I thought this gap, oh you probably can't see it at the bottom, so that's where the last button is, and then there's just that. But it was a windy day and it did go a bit, because it's a fairly full skirt, it did go a bit Marilyn Monroe. It's the closest I'll ever get to looking like Marilyn Monroe. So it may need a little hook or another button at some point at the bottom. But it's such a beautiful fabric. It's Liberty cotton lawn, so it's very fine. So I would only wear this on very warm days anyway. And that's it. The only thing I've found is that this collar, the distance from there to there, it's a little bit too much on there. So this is kind of bagging out a little bit. So I'm going to put a clip. I've actually put a little safety pin there. I'm going to put either an invisible button or a clip just there, a hook, just to, not so much for the cleavage, because the cleavage was fine, but just to stop this sort of sitting up like that, which was a bit irritating. But other than that, I'm really thrilled with that. So that's the Sew Over It vintage shirt dress. And I love it. And do you know what? Talking of Ellie, Craft House Magic, I've been living under a rock for the past 5 years because I've never watched one of Ellie's podcasts. And I put it on because I've kind of met her through a mutual friend and a Zoom group that we both chat on. And I watched her most recent podcast this week, and I didn't realise she's all about the dressmaking. And she was going through all the details. That was so inspiring. So I've got 2 more patterns from Sew Over It. And so when I get back next week, I'm going to look at making something else, one of the other dresses, because I love dresses. I absolutely love dresses. That said, I also have another finished object that I'm wearing, which I will show you, that I finished back in February, but I couldn't decide whether I liked it or not. But I've actually pulled it out and I think I do. So just a sec. So you're not going to get a very... If I go right back here, can you see, can you get an idea? It's basically, it's the Salt Marsh skirt. Oh, you'll see my tummy, but never mind. From Merchant and Mills, or by Merchant and Mills. And it's very long. I've actually gone really long with this, so it's kind of down to just above my ankles. But you can see, and it's, I don't really like showing off my tummy. I have this high, I'm high-waisted, so this has to be tied quite high to stop it sliding down under my tongue. It's got a drawstring top. It's a really simple pattern to make. Let me just arrange myself. And it has pockets. Gotta love pockets. And the fabric is so pretty. In fact, I can show you. Do you know what? I'm pulling this out. Yeah. Okay. Wasn't such a good idea, but I had lots left over. Let me just show you this butterfly fabric. Very creased. How gorgeous is that? It's so pretty. So it's a cotton, it's like a denim-y blue, indigo blue, with these bright coloured butterflies on it. And I've actually got a lot left over. I could possibly make a little top. I'm still talking, you can't see my head, can you? Oh, it's all over the floor. Sorry. Anyway, so yeah, this is the skirt. So I'll show you the pattern, and I really like it. I don't tend to be able to wear long skirts because the ones in the shops are always way too long. I've got my body proportions are, I've got a long body, I'm high-waisted, I've got a long body and relatively short legs. So the long skirts in the shops and the big maxi dresses, apart from making me look like a complete sack, are always way too long. They are way too long. But let me show you. So this pattern is indeed the Salt Marsh skirt. There's a very sultry moody looking model here, which I'm going to show you. There. So you can see you've got the drawstring top and it's fairly straight. And it's just a really easy to wear skirt. And that is from the Merchant and Mills workbook, the All Seasons workbook. I love Merchant and Mills. Those of you who've been watching a while know that I made the factory dress, which was one of theirs, and I got fabric from there, and oh my goodness, that fabric is just so lovely to wear. I was wearing the dress yesterday and I just love it. I might need to make another one. It's a little bit big for me now. Actually, the way I'm going, I'll fit it again soon. But this is, Merchant and Mills are very kind of utilitarian, their styles. So some of these in here, and not many of them. I like a scoop neck and I like shaping, whereas in the Merchant and Mills a lot of them are either oversized or they're sort of straight down, and I don't have that kind of figure. But you know, there's some things you can play around with there. And actually, I'm so loving this Salt Marsh skirt now. I'm going to take it on holiday with me. That's why I got it out. I just need to work out some tops I can wear with it. But anyway, so that's sewing, dressmaking. I shouldn't say sewing because I do other sorts of sewing as well. So that's 2 FOs that I can be quite proud of, I think. Let's go on to some socks. I'm looking down at my notes. I don't have any finished objects, but I have some half objects. I've got some ho-ho-hos. Forgive the Christmas reference. First of all, my Wish You Were Here socks. Now, I cast these on not so long ago, and they got put to one side, and I suddenly picked them up again because I had the urge to knit with a Sockblank. And this was, I was using a Sockblank that I dyed a year or two ago. There's my card, the Wish You Were Here socks. That's what they look like. So they're shorty socks, and they've got a little lace pattern, and on the right foot it runs up the right side, on the left foot it runs up the left side. I cast these on the 7th of June, and my intention was to enter the summer sock camp by the Crazy Sock Lady, but I don't think I was eligible because I wasn't doing anything different. But anyway, doesn't matter. And here is my finished first sock. Now, here's the thing. Okay, let's hold it there. Oh, first of all, these Sockblockers, I must tell you, because my lovely friend Lynette has told me, do you remember I said that they're Ainsworth and Prim, and I couldn't remember where I got them from, but actually I remembered they got them from Yarnporium a couple of years ago, and they're still for sale by the 2 lovely ladies who run the Knitting Shed. So you can get these and others. I haven't gone onto their website, but you can get these. I love these bunnies. Second of all, I love this. Can you see? There we go. So this pattern, I talk about the pattern first and then I talk about the yarn. You've got your little cuff here, they're top down. You've got a heel flap and gusset along there. And then you've got this lace, very simple lace pattern going down there. You can't see it terribly well on this blocker. Oh, still going the wrong way. I then did a round toe because I really like the round toe from Lara Neal's book, Sock Architecture. And I really like the look of the round toe. I don't particularly like a wedge toe. I don't like the 2 bits you get either side when you're decreasing, whereas the round toe, it's slightly longer as well, I think. But don't quote me on that. So yeah, I got sock number 1 done. Now the Sockblank, from which I knitted this, because I posted this on Instagram, and quite a few people commented they didn't know what a Sockblank was or they hadn't knit from one. These were, oh wow, all the rage a couple of years ago. And they seem to have died out a bit. But basically, it's a long strip of knitted fabric. So, and it's usually machine knit. So it's very, very even. This is very, very creased. And what you can do with a Sockblank is you can unravel it. So I've got, for some reason, 2 ends there. I'm not sure why. So you have an end, and as you pull, nah, it's this one. Sorry, this is made there. So really, talk about total blooming right. And this is what happens with Sockblank. It's knowing which end to pull. Right, you pull, and as you pull, you unwind it and you knit. And you knit with the kinked yarn. Now some people I know wind this yarn and soak it to get the kink out. I actually love it with the kinks, and I love the fabric it produces, even though when you block the sock it will actually flatten out. So it doesn't really make much difference at all to my knitting or to my gauge. So you can see that depending on your gauge, depending on the size of your sock that you're knitting, or the hat, because you can knit a hat from this, you're not going to reproduce the pattern that is dyed onto there, because as you're pulling backwards and forwards, your bits, say this dark bit here, isn't necessarily going to fall under, directly under the next dark bit, because you might have done a round and a half of your sock or your hat. So these patterns don't ever represent what you're actually going to get, and that's the joy of the Sockblank. You can work it out. There are ways to kind of read a Sockblank. For example, if you're going to get stripes or various colour pooling or what have you. But, you know, I did this, obviously, all the purples with some navy, some splotches, some greys. And that is the result of what I got. And actually, what I also love is that you do tend to get often micro stripes with a Sockblank. So if you, particularly on that side, look, you can see the little micro stripe effect. I'd like to say I did that deliberately, but I didn't. Now, the mistake I probably made was that this is a bit too busy and dark to be able to see this lace pattern. Actually, when it's on my foot and it's stretched out, you can see it. But possibly a lighter colour may have been better. And also you can see some really vivid purple there, I think. Can you? Right where the lace is has hit. But that's the first one. Excuse me, a little burp there. That's the first sock. And yeah, I absolutely love it. I love the Sockblank. I am sorely tempted to dye some more up for me and for friends, for gifts. I may dye some Christmas themed ones because I just think they're so much fun to work from. Really love those. So what I didn't say was the Wish You Were Here sock. What did I do with my card? Anybody know? Lost it. How can I lose it when I had it 2 minutes ago? Okay, right. You want me to get your act together. Wish You Were Here sock. I'll have to show you on here. It's a free pattern. And it is by the Kitchen Sink Shop. I may not have printed the front page. No, I didn't. So it's by, because I can't seem to find my card. Oh, there it is. Found it. Sorry, distracted. So you can see on there, it's by the Kitchen Sink Shop. If you do a search on Ravelry, you'll find that pattern. And it's great. It's a nice, easy knit. So that's that one. I also have another half object, which is very exciting, which is in my gorgeous Hohi suede bag. I haven't made a record card for this yet, and I'll tell you why. It's because it's a test knit. And I got straight on with it. I got cracking and didn't get around to making a record card, so I need to do that. Now this is the lovely Debs, who is Daisy Stitches on Instagram. She's designing some socks. I think I've got, back in the day, I'm pretty sure that Debs used to make project bags. Do correct me, Deb, if you're watching and I'm wrong, please forgive me. But I have a Harry Potter project bag that I bought from Debs a few years back, and it's still one of my favourites. But anyway, that's by the by. She is now designing sock patterns, and she asked me and said, well, I said how lovely this one was. It's not a top secret project. She said we were okay to share, except there's obviously not a photograph here. She's got 3 patterns about to be launched. I've got a feeling I saw on Instagram it's imminent. It might even be Thursday or Friday this week. I'm not sure. I need to check that, don't I? And I said I would love to test knit the Jasmine socks because they're really, really, really pretty. And I got the first one done. And you can tell how much I enjoyed knitting it because I just got it done within about 5 days. It's such a joyful knit. It's a little bit big for my sock blocker here. But there you go. There is the Jasmine sock. So you'll see what Debs has done. And what quite a lot of sock designers do is they only put the pattern on the front half of the leg and the top of the foot. So what I will do actually is I will take this off the sock blocker and give you a better view of the actual lace. It's so lovely and it's simple. It's simple to knit, but it's I do that. I put it on the wrong part of my arm so that you can't see it. I'll be a sock puppet now. There. So that's the top of your foot and the leg. It's such an effective pattern. It's so lovely. Debs did her knit in scrappy socks. Well, she did them with mini skeins and she used, I think, 3 or 4 different colours. I elected to use this colour, which I'll talk more about in a mo. But then the back, you can see the colour better there. So I can't talk too much about the pattern details, obviously. But you've got, it's a heel flap and gusset there. Which looks really smart. Top down, cuff down, but if you needed to, you could easily reverse it and do toe up. And yeah, it's an absolute delight to knit. This colourway, I must say as well, this colourway, I love this. I love this colourway. It's such a favourite of mine. And this is from Helen, Giddy Yarns, who is a friend of mine and a watcher of the podcast. Hey Helen. And Helen has a podcast as well as a fabulous dyeing palette, should I say, or range. I don't know, what do you call it? Anyway, check out Helen's shop, Giddy Yarns. She used to be down in the southeast. She's now up in the north in Scotland. But this colourway is from, she's got, she does a lot of nostalgia stuff and books, and both of those really tick my boxes, if you'll pardon the expression. And I absolutely love them. I'm slowly working my way through buying a lot of them. This one is from her series of children's books that she did. And if you remember a little while ago, I think I shared with you, I bought The Railway Children. I did share with you because I talked about the record, which I've since found, but that's another story. And this one is The Secret Garden. Look at that. It's perfect, absolutely perfect. This is it in the skein. It's just so soft and beautiful and pretty. And it's got tiny little flecks of kind of rusty crimson in it. Just enough to give a hint of flowers. And I've just started. I've just got the moustache there. Started the second sock. But the colourway, and you see, you wouldn't call that stripes, but it's so regular. It just looks so good. I love it. So yeah, Jasmine Sock, so quite apt really, by Daisy Stitches. Check Debs out on Instagram and on Ravelry. I think also, I believe, I should say this, I think Debs has offered to donate a pattern or two of these as a prize draw for the podcast. If so, next week probably we'll do a giveaway with those. Hopefully I might have the second one done. And yeah, Giddy Yarns, Helen's yarn. That won't be coming up again. I've got anything else of hers to show you this week. But also, just a quick note, as you know, I'm exploring different ways of knitting socks with various needles and so on. I've been knitting these, oh, honestly, talk about cheap and cheerful. I hope I didn't offend anyone when I said that. These are on Clover Takumi bamboo needles. I got sent these about 18 months ago with a whole load of Clover stuff to sort of test run, really, to sample. And I pulled them out to give them a go with this sock, and I love them. I absolutely love them. I'm kind of off stainless steel needles at the moment. I'm not loving the stainless steel. In fact, I'm moving back to DPNs as well. But these, they're so light. They're like little toothpicks almost. Well, obviously, they're two. Can you see that? These are 2.25 millimeters. But, you know, I would recommend these to anybody who's, they're bamboo. I should have said, did I say that? I don't know. Who knows what I said. But they are, I'm so enjoying knitting on these. They've got a little bit of drag, but I'm happy with that because sometimes I find the metal is just too slippy. So anyway, just a thought. There you go. Jasmine Sock, another HO. Hooray! Right. What else? I've talked about that. Wish You Were Here socks. Right, some works in progress now. Okay, quick slurp. I don't seem to have taken a breath yet. Right. Curious Handmade. The Stillness Mystery Knit Along. The final clue was released last Thursday. I had got up to date with the clue. I'd worked really hard to get up to be ready to do the final part of the shawl. And to be honest, I kind of burnt out a bit with that. The rows, oh my goodness, they are so long. 523 stitches on a row. So I am working very slowly through the last clue. There's only about, I think there are about 18 rows of the last clue. And I've done half of them. So I'm halfway through and then that's it anyway. So I don't think I need to say about the spoiler now, but I will say if you don't want to see what the Stillness Shawl by Helen Stewart looks like, then look away. If you're not worried, then you can have a look now. So I have been showing this every week, but of course, because we missed last week, you wouldn't have seen the previous clue, would you? So, there we go, I've got the wrong way. Right, so let's just start with slightly close up. So, this clue was the previous week's. No, it wasn't. This one, this bowl, this is Mrs. Claus Cheeky Prosecco. Mrs. Claus Cheeky Prosecco from Kelly at Lay Family Yarns. So it's a lovely pinky sort of red with speckles, really nice, and you've just got a very, very simple lace pattern there. Well, it's yarn overs, isn't it? So that was all done, and then this week's clear, I'm going to turn it the other way up actually for now. So this week's clear, we're back to the first colour, the lightest colour we used, and this colour was dyed for me by my lovely friend Janine as a gift. And so we're putting in these chevrons as the lace, and I guess I'm about halfway, so there'll be another. So if I kind of, can you see that? Oh, come on when we get there. So that's where we're at. It's kind of classic Helen Stewart style. It's huge. It's going to be amazing. It's a crescent shaped, sorry, it's not crescent shaped. It's going to be half pie, isn't it? I think. And it's got three colours. As you can see, you've got the pale, speckled, and then the darker variegated. This one here is by Eula, Hey Mama Wolf yarn. Lovely Eula from Germany. So actually I've met and I know all three of these dyers, which is really nice. So yeah, so this is really, this one you only really get to see it sort of spread that there like that. So that's going to be, this is going to be the edge, and then I think there's, I don't know if it's an I-cord bind off or a picot. I've got a feeling it's an I-cord bind off, I'm not sure. I haven't looked that far ahead yet. Anyway, and I have actually now, because it was such long rows, I've actually put stitch markers in. Well, when I started out, I didn't read the pattern ahead, so I didn't know quite how involved the lace was going to be. So I put stitch markers in each pattern repeat. In actual fact, it's the same pattern. It doesn't change through the rows, so that's fine. But I'm leaving them in there because if I do go wrong, at least I've got some recourse. So yeah, that is the Stillness Shawl by Curious Handmade, Helen Stewart, and it is lovely. It's a lovely shawl. It's very big. I have to say, I don't really think I'm a fan of the way that she does increases on her shawls. They're very much bam, bam, bam. To get that, I guess it's to get so it's to get that semicircle, isn't it? Yeah, not sure. Jury's out on that, but it is a beautiful shawl. It is a beautiful shawl, and there are some nice finished versions popping up now on Instagram. Next one, gosh, I've got lots of knitting for you this week. Where is it? What have I done with it? Aha! The chicken sweater. Now, we haven't seen the chicken sweater for a while, have we? Because I put it down to work on the Stillness Shawl, basically, because I felt because I was on a deadline with that and it was a week-to-week thing, I needed to put all my time into that. So this week, I've given myself a treat and gone back to my chicken sweater. And I am loving it, and it is coming away on my little mini holiday with me. So, what else have I lost? There was another, oh, it's there. This is the Jupiter Crop by Caitlin Hunter, Boiler Knitworks. That is what I'm making. So called the chicken sweater because she designed it with her rooster in mind, or one of her chickens in mind, with the feathers. And the colourways there. Obviously I'm doing it in completely different colourways. Don't look anything like a chicken, so I made my own chicken on my project card. There you go. That's my chicken sweater. Excuse me. So I cast this back back in the very last day of May, 31st of May. Got on really well, then put it aside for a while. So I've rediscovered my sweater mojo now, which is great. And I am about 8 rounds away from splitting for the sleeves. And here it is. It's my chicken sweater. Hang on, let's have that. It's quite tricky because it's on quite a short cable to show you. There. So there, I'm coming down sort of to there. So I have just, okay, I'll show you this way. I'll show you this bit. This is upside down, obviously, but I'm going to have to get up. Right, so I have just finished this section here, and I'm just bringing in some pink, so colour 2 again, from there, and you see. So if we look on the picture, so I have now done this, the brown, and I'm just onto right on her boobies, that bit there, which is going to be in my pink colourway. And oh my goodness, this to me, I don't think I've ever knit anything quite this with these pretty colours before. I just think it looks so gorgeous. Oh, if I could hold it up properly, it would help, wouldn't it? So really, really thrilled about that. And I've put in a good few rows. I put a... so from when I picked it up again, which was only a couple of days ago, and bearing in mind, I've done the last lot of yoke increases. So I'm on the so this is where I was, and I've got that much done just in a few days. Really, really love this. So this yarn, this blue, is Swans Island Merino Sport in their French navy colourway, which I bought from Fig Tree Yarns over on the island of Jersey, Channel Islands. Not Jersey, New York State. So it's Swans Island. It is an American yarn. And this is their French blue. There you go. Still get back to right there. And it's lovely. It's like a faded kind of royal blue. It's really pretty. And then the contrast colours I'm using were my mini skeins from Wonderland Yarns, from the Mad Hatter colourway, from the Mad Hatter range, and it's called Tea Time, colourway 102. And I got 6 mini skeins, of which I can show you a couple. The pink one I'm working on here, sorry, get your act together. Oh, whoa! So that's the pink, and then that's the mint, and I've got a blue that's in there somewhere, and I don't know where the blue's gone now. Anyway, now there it is. So that's the blue. So these are so pretty. Now I did work out that I didn't, because of the sizing and my gauge, which I did talk about at length when I first cast this on the podcast, I knew that I probably would be pushing my luck to get all of my contrast colours out of this mini set. So I did buy another, I bought 2 more, but I bought full skeins. So I bought another blue of this, which is the Wonderland Yarns, because I just love it anyway. I love this yarn, can't get enough of it. But then for my final contrast colour, I bought Whortleberry Jam colour 167 from their Tea Time collection, and I think that's going to go really, really well. So if you look at those colours there, and then that's going to go in there. So I'm, again, really excited about that. I was thinking, I keep saying I'm really excited, or I really love this, I really love that, and you think as a podcast, you think, yeah, am I just saying the same thing all the time? But do you know what? I wouldn't be doing it if I didn't love it, would I? So, but some things you do get more excited about than others, unlike these little neck bags. Little, how common am I? Chicken sweater, Caitlin Hunter, the Jupiter crop, for anyone who wants to have a look at that. I've still got my eye. My dream knitting, my future knitting, is another Boylan Knitwork sweater. The Coivua big sweater. It's a worsted weight, so it's going to be quite a hefty knit. But I say hefty knit, but it should be a quicker knit, shouldn't it, than sport weight. Okay, right. So that's all my knitting. I haven't done any crochet. I haven't worked on my scrappy blankets. It's just been too warm, and I think probably they may go away for about a month anyway, because it is quite warm. Not the weather to be sitting with blankets all over you, is it? I've done a little bit of my English paper piecing, which, oh, it's over there. I can show you if I can do it without, you know what, Henry, he tends to sit right by the wheels of my chair, so I have to be careful not to run over him. Okay, so my English paper piecing, the bug is strong, isn't it? It's quite a few of you jumping into this. It's slow, but you know what? This is meant to be slow, and this is what is great about it. So it's getting bigger. There you go. It's completely random. It's totally meant to be. And these are from sets. I'll put the link to Rachel Jarvis below, who is Made by Rachel on Etsy. I think most of you probably know that, because whenever she does a shop update now, all her little Hexi Packs sell out. I'm going to have to start a bat phone line to her saying, tell me when you're going to do it. So Rachel sells these little Hexis pre-cut, eh? And the papers that go in them. So my bag's a bit of a mess, you'll find, no surprise. And I glue baste them with the Soline glue basting pen, which you can get from a haberdashery. Although I believe Darling Jules, So Sweet Violet Jules, is also selling these now on her website and her shop. So I glue baste them, so we're like that. And then hand stitch them together. Now I was doing them singly, and a couple of people said to me, are you not doing rows and just adding the rows? And I was sort of like, no. So I am now doing rows, and then just this row, obviously I've just got to add there. Now originally, excuse me, I was doing this to make a cover for my Bible, but I'm actually thinking now, I want it out. I want it to be out on my bed, our bed, or at least on a chair in here. So I'm going to make a big cushion cover. So actually, when I have done this side, I think I'm going to start bringing it up there and squaring it off, and just make a really lovely scatter cushion, throw cushion, because then I can look at it all and look at all the different. So I love it. It's so pretty. So that's my English paper piecing. I'm toying with the idea of opening a thread in the podcast group on Ravelry about this, because I've had a few questions about it. Don't know, we'll think on that one, but certainly it's the English paper piecing lobby is strong. Check out, oh, there's his ear, hang on. Go over his ear. Tell you who else does, so Jules does the lovely kits now. She cuts out and does Hexis. They're a little bit bigger than Rachel's, but they're beautiful, beautiful fabric. And she does the papers, and she does needles and notions as well. And then Rachel, who is So Ray Me UK on Etsy, I believe she sells fabric now, which again is beautiful. I don't think she does Hexi Packs. She does scrapbooking stuff though, which is amazing. But check out her fabric as well, and she will cut the lengths that you require. So, and these are just people that I would shop from. So no sponsorship, no endorsement, just kind of people you chat with who are lovely, and you think, yeah, give them a plug. Right, so that's EPP. Let me just double check my time. How many minutes have I got left? Not many minutes. I think I'm going to need to plug in my charger, you know. Okay, we're back. I have plugged in the charger, so we're all good. I have a horrible feeling. I was staring at the screen while I was talking to you earlier, when you're supposed to be staring at the camera. So if my eyes are a little bit on the wonk, I do apologise. Told you, I'm out of practice. Right, you'll remember from last week, or last time, that I had been weaving an alchemy blanket. I've been working on a blanket on my big loom. I use an Ashford 48-inch rigid heddle loom, and I don't tend to make these much these days, but there was a while there when I used to make scrappy blankets, alchemy blankets as I called them, because it was the magic of bringing loads of scraps together, and used to get beautiful results. If you're not sure what I mean, you can always whiz back through my Instagram feed. Probably about 18 months ago was when I was the most productive with all of that. So I had arranged to do make a blanket for my friend Vicky, who is the dyer extraordinaire that is West Green Loft Yarns. So Vicky sent me a whole load of her leftovers. Her palette is very distinctive, very distinctive. And last week, I believe I showed you and explained about the warp and the weft and how I was doing the weaving and what it was looking like. So I have actually done a short video. I took it off the loom today. So I did the reveal, as we call it, and I did film a bit. The camera angle probably isn't brilliant because I tried to set the camera up as I was doing it. So I will put that clip in here and then I will chat to you a bit about the blanket. Okay, here we go. So, there you go. So now what I've got to do, oh, I think my hands are going to look really big on here, is undo these bows where I tied on the warp. And I always say to the students that I teach, this is where you're grateful that you tied bows, because it makes it marginally easier to undo them. Now, of course, if you're not interested, am I wobbling the table a bit? Sorry. If you're not interested in having a fringe on whatever it is you're weaving, then you could just cut along here. That wouldn't be a problem. But because part of the beauty, I think, of blankets, certainly these blankets, is the fringe, then I don't want to lose this edge here, because the next job on this blanket will be hand twisting this fringe. So I'm going to continue doing this. My hands are going to go out of screen, so I will stop this and magically be back with you when it's all done. Okay, so you've seen it. You've seen the beauty. That is it. I have it here on my lap. So you got an idea of the size, obviously, from the video. It's a sort of blanket. It will cover the top part of a single bed. So where you would have like a blanket, it won't tuck in. It's not that big, but it is certainly big enough. There you go. If you can see that, if I show you there. So you did see most of this on the video, hopefully that came out, but these colours are so pretty. They're so pretty. So what I do when I weave, oh, just checking a minute, no, that's fine, forever looking for flaws. With this one, I warped the loom. I think I said this as well last time. I warped it with 4-ply with fingering weight yarn. Quite often I will hold the yarn double, but this one I didn't. And then I'd use the weft, and again it's all fingering weight yarn from Vicky. I don't think there was any DK in there. Oh, there was one lot. I've got a feeling that the dusky pink was this one. Blah, 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 blah. That one there. I think that was DK. But the rest is fingering weight, and I have mixed it. As I've said before, the loom is more than happy, within reason, to take different weights of yarn. So some of this fingering weight I held double to give a slightly thicker, less see-through effect. Some of it I left as single, and I didn't mix up the colours too much either. Sometimes it it's kind of my natural inclination is I will hold, if I'm holding fingering weight yarn double, I will use 2 complementary colours or 2 contrasting colours, depending on what effect I want to give the blanket. This one I wanted to kind of keep the colours, if I say pure, as they were. So I didn't, there's one I know somewhere here that I mixed a pink and a cream together. Do you know what, I can't find it now. Are there? No. There you go, it's so subtle I can't even see it. But anyway, so there we go. So when I get back from my holiday, my little break, I will be sorting out these ends. I will be hand twisting this fringe. So I always like to leave a long fringe for the blankets. So I'll be hand twisting those. Then this will go into the bath for a soak. I will then spin it in my washing machine, but only a spin cycle. And then it will be able to air dry on the line, obviously, because of the lovely weather. And then it will be going to its new home. So the fringe twisting takes a couple of hours. It's quite involved. And I do it all by hand. I don't have any fancy clips or anything like that. I tend to lay the blanket out on the table and I just separate this out. Usually put my laptop there with a podcast on, actually, so that it weights down the blanket. Then I do the twisting and then it's all done. Bish bash bosh. This is beautiful. So yeah, if you like those colours and you're not aware of Vicky's website, check out West Greenloft Yarns, because her palette is beautiful. A very shabby chic, basically. The sort of thing, excuse me, I had a bit of chocolate in between before and now. And now, there you go. I'm going to say it. So professional. So professional. Anyhow, yeah, that was the blanket. I have no idea how long I've been banging on for. I was going to share you my Bible journaling. Might do that in a minute. I'll try and move on a little bit more quickly now, because I just wanted to touch on our podcast group on Ravelry. So if you like to join in the chatter, or even if you just want to kind of read the chatter, then come on over, join the Sheep and Cheerful podcast thread. There is the group, sorry. There's an introductory thread, which I really encourage you just to drop a few lines about who you are, maybe where you are in the world, whether you like knitting or crocheting or quilting or weaving or anything like that, really. It's a very warm and welcoming group. Just such lovely ladies in there, and it is all ladies. I say that, I can say that without fear of being stereotypical, because it is all ladies. And yeah, it's great. There's some great threads, and we've got a couple of make-alongs going on. So the first one is the Scrappy Blanket Adventures, which is anyone who is knitting a scrappy blanket, so any sort of blanket, or crocheting, apologies, is making a scrappy blanket out of leftover yarns, and you are less than 50% of the way through it, then you will be eligible to join in the prize draw that we're going to have, depending on when I pull for prizes. But if you need a bit of encouragement, you want to share the pattern you're making, anything like that, then join in and use the hashtag Scrappy Blanket Adventures on Instagram so that I can see your lovely progress, or put pictures up in the thread. There's a chat thread. I have now put a finished object thread up because I noticed 1 or 2 people were getting to the end of theirs, which is really great. The whole thing will be lasting at least until the end of the year. And it is actually a joint make-along that I'm running with Sherrie from the Ollie and Bella podcast. So Sherrie is not podcasting at the moment, but she's on Instagram occasionally, and she does look out in the Ravelry group, so she has a thread for the same thing in her Ravelry group. We will be picking winners from both of the sets of threads. So it doesn't matter whether you're in Cherie's group or mine or both, we will be putting all the names into the same metaphorical hat to pull for prizes. So Scrappy Blanket Adventures, if you finished one, well, let's start another one. like I say, this is going to be going on, and it's so inspirational to see so many ideas from people. So that's lovely. Join into that one. And we have also got the I've Finished Mum make along, or wait for it, I've Finished Mum make along, for people who've got those sort of projects, who have been knocking around for months, if not years. We've got some crackers. We've got ones that are, my goodness, I think there was one that was 17 years, 14 years old. You know who you are. There was some, certainly quite a few that are 4, 5, 6 years old that have been on the needles, put away on a dusty shelf and just not finished for whatever reason. So I've said that if you've got a project like that, now's the time to dig it out, get involved in the chatter thread, because we can all encourage each other along. It's nice to be able to show off what we've done. And then when you've finished, you can put it in the finished object thread, and you can have the bell rung for you, and you can say, "I've finished, Mum." I finished, if you remember last time, my cocoon socks, which were going on way too long. I've got some others. I've got another pair of socks on the go that are my I Finished Mum socks. And I probably have got a few other things that I could throw in. But for now, the thread, the knit along, the crochet along, the quilt along, whatever your project is, cross stitch. We've got some cross stitches, trying to finish up some long overdue projects. We're running it to the end of August. So you've got virtually another month to get those old WIPs out and to start finishing them off, and think of all the new things that you can cast on when you've done that or start. So we have, and my goodness, we've had a glut of finished objects in that finished object thread. So you know what the time is. It is time for the bell. As we know, the bell is very temperamental, and once again, it's not got its donger. I'm not even going to risk it this week. We have the donger here. So I would like to say big congratulations, and I've finished it, Mum, to Elaine for your socks, Mandy for your teddy, Gillian for your fairy sweater, which I think might have been your design, I'm not sure, Sherrie 3 from Wisconsin, your shawl, well done, Kerry and Sherrie for your granny square blanket. Don't forget, if that qualifies for the Scrappy Blanket Adventures as well, Kerry. Sarah, your crochet sweater. Well done. I do like that. That is possibly going to go on my list. Sherrie, Ollie and Bella Sherrie. Yay, go Sherrie. She finished her socks. Then we have, now, okay, I was on a roll. There is the most beautiful red blanket, a granny square or a crochet square blanket. And I'm going to say Dariona. But I think I'm probably not saying that right. So Dariona, I apologise. I have looked and looked at how to pronounce your name, because you're from Ireland, and I know there's probably something really sneaky about how you say it. But I couldn't find anywhere that told me how you pronounce it properly. So I do apologise. But anyway, have the bell for your beautiful red blanket. Lovely. Then we have Marianne with her northeasterly blanket. We have Sharon with another pair of socks. I'm getting a bit more flourishy with this now. Then we have Jeanette, 2 pairs of socks. Well done, Jeanette. Put them in as 2 separate photos, because then you get 2 entries into the draw. Denise, a hand spun sweater. Wow, your first project made with your hand spun, and it's beautiful. Don't over dye it, it's really pretty. And also your stole that you knitted, your shawl or stole. Then we have Amanda. Amanda, you put a picture of Sack Boy. Was it on here or was it on the vlog that I showed my Sack Boy? Did that remind you, or did you have him going anyway? I can't believe you knit a Sack Boy, and it looks very similar to mine. Yours actually looks way better than mine. And then finally, again, I apologise. I'm going to muller this pronunciation, because I always look up everybody's names, so I don't call out your Instagram handle or your Ravelry handle. I like to call out your names. But there isn't a name with this one, and it's Monko Bilanska from Poland. And you have done a shawl, and it was beautiful. So well done. That's 14 bells we had rung today for the I've Finished It Mum thread. Well done, you all. I'm so pleased. And so many of you are so pleased to get these off your needles. So you should give yourselves all a big pat on the back. Well done. Now, just while we're talking about the threads, and Amanda, she of the Sackboy fame, we have a thread in the chat group, in the Ravelry group, sorry, about people wanting to do mini skein swaps. And it's not something I'm organising, but you can go on there, have a look. If someone's offered to do a swap, you can approach them direct, or if you want to do a swap, you can then post and put what you'd like to swap. And I did a swap with Josie, who is Seaside Crafter Girl, I think that's right, Josie. And did I talk about it last week? I don't think no, because I didn't podcast, did I, last week? She sent me, we finally managed to get around to doing our swap this week. And at the end of last week, I received her package to me, and I've sent hers off to her. And she sent me, now I apologise, they are in a plastic bag because I've put them all in my scrappy blanket basket. But look at those minis. Aren't they great? Love those. And what I've actually done is, oh, something just fell on the floor. I have put them all into my scrappy stash of my scrappy blanket secret diary. So if we go to the very back, I've also done it with the minis that Sherrie sent me. Right, I am going to cover over that because I've written Josie's address details there so that I know I can send anything in future to her. So that's what I've done. I've just tagged all the different yarns she sent me. I've just put a little scrap of them on there. I know they're from her, so when I come to use them, I can know that this was a swap I did with Josie, which is really great. And I didn't put Cherie's address, so I did the same with Sherrie, Ollie and Bella Sherrie, who sent me those beautiful scraps, minis. So that's up to date now. I haven't done any more rows on it, but the actual stash of it. Look how hairy that is. I love this. I've got it at the sides and at the top. That's my hairy book. So yeah, so my swap with Josie was great. She sent me a few other bits and pieces, which was really lovely. A beautiful bookmark, Christian bookmark. She's also Christian, which is even better. It's just fabulous. It's so lovely to reach out to someone and just send them little gifts. Now, the other thing is Josie happens to be a yarn dyer. So I'm going to pick up what dropped because, oh, there it is. Right, that's something else. She sent a little mini skein pack as a prize to offer on the podcast, which I think is really, really kind of her. And they are beautiful. They're going to blow your mind. Are you ready? So her Etsy shop is called Beaches and Birdsong. Look. Hannah's going to knock on the door now. Hello. On the window, I meant. So, look at those. Oh, now I've gone the wrong way again. Look at those colours. They are so pretty. So that's Josie's Etsy shop, Beaches and Birdsong. She's quite a new dyer. She's only been dyeing this year. And these are called, this is Platinum 4-ply, which is 75% merino, superwash merino, 25% nylon. And they're 5 times 20 gram minis, 85 metres each. And the colours are sunflower, peony, lavender, dahlia and variegated foliage. And they are beautiful. So I think we might do a giveaway. I think we've got to episode 15. Let's do a giveaway. So I think, bearing in mind that I'm going away for a few days, and bearing in mind that Josie also lives on the south coast and her yarn colourway is her company is called Beaches and Birdsongs, I would ask you to comment below if you would like to enter a draw to win this skein, this set of mini skeins. And I would like you just to comment and say where you would most like to be knitting using these mini skeins. So what place? Would it be a beach? Would it be a forest where you can hear birdsong? Would it be on your back porch? Would it be in your craft room? Where would you most like to sit? Oh, I've got a dog footsteps again. Do apologise for that. Where would you like to picture yourself sitting, knitting on these beautiful mini skeins? And if you want to put what you would knit as well, that's great. But just what would be your ideal setup? So comment below, comment here on YouTube. And before I podcast next week, I will pull a random person, you're not numbers, and I will then send you this beautiful set of mini skeins. I did say to Josie I'm tempted actually to buy a set myself, but she has the most gorgeous colourways in her shop. Really, really pretty, so check her out. Anyway, I need to make a note of that because I kind of did that on the fly. I hadn't planned to do that, but you know, about time we had a giveaway, isn't it? If anybody else is out there who's a dyer or a bag maker or anything who would like to contribute a prize to the podcast for either a giveaway or you know, for one of the chatter threads, then please do let me know. I would, well, obviously it's just so much fun to be able to do giveaways. And it gets your product out there, let's be honest. So it might be people who hadn't heard of your shop or know about you, and I'm happy, you know, to pass that on to everybody. Right, so that is very much that. I think we're nearly there. I was just going to share with you a couple of purchases I've made because, as I said, I discovered Ellie, Craft House Magic. I could have spent so much money in her shop, but I was very good. And I bought two 50-gram skein sets. I love it. I love that she does the 50-gram sock sets with the mini. And also because I only ever take about 45 grams of yarn, of sock weight yarn, to make a full-size pair of socks. So I end up with half a skein left over effectively. So I bought two 50-gram skeins. The first one is called What a Feeling. And it's 200 metres, 50 grams of 4-ply, 75 merino, superwash merino, 20% nylon, 5% stellina, because she was sold out of all the others. And, you know, who doesn't love a bit of sparkle? Look at that. Those colours are just so me. I absolutely love those. Really love those. So that's, yeah, for those of you who don't know, that's Ellie, Craft House Magic. And this is her What a Feeling colourway. So I may be casting on a pair of socks this weekend with those because they're just lovely. The other one I bought, and again I just saw it and fell for it straight away, was her pumpkin patch sock set. And I know come autumn and everybody goes mad for pumpkin spice latte and pumpkin themed stuff and Halloween. Well, I don't do Halloween. But I love the whole seasonal change. I love autumn. I love pumpkins and all the colours that come with it. So I couldn't resist this. So again, it's on stellina because for some reason that was the only one she had left. It's showing up a little bit orange. It's not, can I get that? It's sort of gingery. It's a slightly darker. It's kind of quite bright. But I don't know, anyway. Plus with this green as it's going to be the contrast for the heels, toes and cuffs. So it's just beautiful. Absolutely love it. So they were and these arrived, they arrived today. Did they arrive today? Yesterday, can't remember. Anyway, that one won't be cast on just yet because it's obviously the wrong season. But I think this one might be cast on. We'll see. We will see. I'm going to take my Swift and my ball winder so that if I decide I want to cast on something new, I'll take this skein and I can wind it up, I think. So they were my purchases that I'm going to share with you. Now, have I got anything else? Or I was just going to mention books. I won't talk about my Bible journaling endeavours now because I think we probably are quite a lot of time gone into this, aren't we? I am planning to do a particular lot of journaling over the weekend though, so I will perhaps share that with you next week, hopefully. And finally, I bought myself 2 new books. I've had, my book mojo's been a bit on the wane as well. I've been reading The Mill on the Floss by George Eliot and been struggling. It's not an easy book to read and it's not particularly uplifting. And I'm about halfway through it, but in the end I thought, you know what, I'm going to just put it down for now. Come back to it. I need to read something a bit, I don't know, just a bit nicer, really. So I actually picked up a Debbie Macomber, a book that I found that I hadn't read, and I'm reading a really lovely, cheery Debbie Macomber book, and I can't remember what it's called. It's on my Kindle, so I'll probably talk about that next time. But I also bought a couple of books, one that was recommended to me by a lovely viewer, and I'm trying to think who it was. Was it Anna Maria? I'm not sure. Anyway, it's this one. So Sashenka by Simon Sebag Montefiore. It's the first of a trilogy, and it's kind of, from what I was told and from what I read, it's a kind of a saga. So this goes through history. It starts off in the Romanovs' time, I believe. Is it? Although this one doesn't. Did I buy the wrong one? Oh man, I hope I haven't bought the wrong one. I thought Sashenka. Oh, it is. No, it is right. No, we're good. The Moscow trilogy. Sashenka, One Night in Winter, and Red Sky at Noon. So that is going to come away with me, I think. Really looking forward to reading that. Remember how much I loved New York by Edward Rutherford. I'm still going to read the London one of those, but because it's so thick, I've been kind of delaying it a bit, but this obviously is quite thick. I was sure this went back to Romanovs, but it actually goes back to, it's back to pre-war. No, it is Romanovs. Winter 1916. What am I talking about? Anyway, that's what I'm going to read. The other book that I bought, which is Sublime to the Ridiculous, is by Ree Drummond, who is the pioneer woman, if you've seen her cooking show on TV. I can't think how I got onto it. I think I saw, when I was in New York, I was browsing through the cookbooks in Barnes & Noble, as you do, because what else would you buy when you go to New York? And I found a Ree Drummond book and I started looking at her, and then I found her TV show and I watched a few of those. I did set my video to record them and actually ended up with 99 episodes because it was recording the Food Network and they're on so often. And when we went on to have a look at the hard drive on our recorder, it was like, oh, I've got rather too many, so I stopped that. I do love them, but there's no way I can watch one every day. But I did buy, I believe it's her blog, but put into a book, so I bought that. Very much lighter weight. I think it'll be fun. I love the whole, I've said this before, when people transform, so she was a city girl and transforms to a country girl. I love all things like that, and I thought that would be a really good fun read. So they're the 2 books that are coming in my holiday bag with me. Right, I think that must be it. I think I need to stop, don't I? My goodness. And I'm feeling pretty warm as well. I need to get the door open and get out and get some fresh air. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you if you came back after 2 weeks. Thank you if you're new. If you would like to get notifications as to when I post the podcast, do subscribe down there. It's always nice to have subscribers because that brings other people to the channel. Doesn't matter though if you think, oh, I'm not subscribing, then that's fine as well. Obviously, it's a free world. I'm so rubbish at this. I'm aiming to podcast next Thursday, hopefully. I did think about vlogging while I was away and putting up some footage next week. I don't know, I may take this camcorder, I may not, because I'm trying to come off social media, but then it will be nice to have the memories, so who knows, we shall see. In the meantime, I hope you're all keeping well. I hope you've all had a good week and will proceed to have a good weekend. And I will look forward to seeing you and chatting with you next week. So be more sheep and keep cheerful.